maybe that's Jeff Bezos. Beta? No. How about a dominant masculine presence? It spans alpha, beta. And this is why it works.
Okay.
This is why you can be a diplomat, but they always choose diplomats that have a dominant masculine presence. They're the best.
Yeah.
They're the Henry Kissinger. They're those guys that do that. And I could go through the list. I mean, I could probably call out every one of those skills from Bill Gates down to who's the next athlete out there that's just rocking it. I could do either way, you know. And I could go through the list and probably call out Andrew Tate's on here or any of the guys like that.
Yeah.
But this is what I've discovered over the last 5 years. You can use alpha, beta, sigma, and all that stuff, but it's not complete. It doesn't give you a complete picture if you really want to understand how a man projects his presence into the world. But with this skill set, you can. And I go into the detail in the book.
Okay.
And then on top of that, I go into something called emotional durability, which is really just emotional regulation. You know, if you can regulate your emotions and choose to use your emotions when you want to, both good and bad, you tend to live longer and have a higher and lifetime income than those who cannot. Interesting food for thought. And I cite the studies in there as well. So I thought you guys might find that interesting. And hopefully you got a chance to listen to kind of a raw audio book that's not available yet.
Yeah,
What
straight
you
from
think,
me.
man?
Actually, like, I wanted to, like, follow into, like, more, but I want to pick up with the book also. I don't know, like, for me, it's better vision for me to pick up some pages from the book, and then I'll follow up with the audio. But, yeah, no,
You
good.
got a book now.
Yeah, book now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's only been out for 3 weeks. So, I mean, I promised you guys when I was here last that you'd have the first crack at it.
Yeah, for sure.
You treated me really good, and I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you
I'm
doing
kind of
that.
a loyal sort of guy for
Oh,
guys
yeah,
that,
of course.
you know, throw it back out like that.
Actually, I mean, it looks good.
Yeah. I'll say real quick, you got answer a couple questions for us?
Sure.
All right.
So, in your definition, does, you know, how society, like, is always demasculating men nowadays and stuff like that, always putting them down, just being masculine gets labeled being toxic regardless, just as a defensive mechanism for the actual people who can't handle it. So do you think toxic masculinity, does it really exist? Or is it just a defense that they just...
No. You're going to love this. I actually talk about this in the APA's decision to label masculinity as toxic. But without getting too far into the weeds, this has been done because it's a complex issue, but it's been done because, well, it's been done for economic reasons. Women spend money, men don't. Women shop, men buy. It's a very different thing.
Okay, I like that.
That's a component on a high end. The other component is that essentially we had Marxist ideals and Malthusian theory being promoted from the 60s onward. And it's a sad thing because when you combine the two, you have essentially a ideology of oppressed and oppressor coupled with a ideology that says there's far too many human beings on the planet and something must be done because we're a virus on the face of the planet, which is complete bullshit. You couple those two together in something like an academic system and you get this vicious femme-centric social order that views men as oppressors that must be subjugated. It is a supremacy movement, and it's backed up by Marxist ideology because it serves their end. There is such a thing as useful idiots in Marxist ideology. I should call it a theology because it is kind of that. And it's by any means necessary to get to the end. And so, look, let them reduce the population by emasculating men and calling men toxic, shaming men. I mean, sign language came out of this, and I don't mean American Sign Language. I mean shaming, insult, guilt, and the need to be right, which is prevalent, you know. And I think it was a plan. And I don't want to offend anybody here, but it started in the black community in the 60s. You know, the black community used to have an 88% success rate on their marriages prior to 1965. They did not get divorced, and they had solid families. What happened? Well, everybody gets to feel that now. And what's been done there is shameful. I think it should have never been done.